I won't go to you at the beauty supply store because it costs $2 more. But I'll go somewhere down the street and give them an extra. I won't think about that $2 when it's somewhere that I want. It's only where I kind of think, man, why she gotta be like that?
Yeah.
Why? If she just bought it. Well, 90 of them got together and they put their money together. And now it allows them to buy in bulk. Small town people don't like each other because they're related to half of them. Shout out to Jascotta Jefferson out there.
Shout out.
Jascotta was the campaign manager for the whole campaign for getting the casino passed. Everybody's not into the whole gambling thing. Just like, you know, like when have you ever seen a casino or them gambling machines in the gas station in nicer neighborhoods? I'm just saying.
Never.
Like they're saying, this administration, Trump, how do you bankrupt casinos? The house always wins.
What's up, guys? This is Brianna Moore, your host of the Conversations Unearthed podcast, where y'all come for me, but you stay for the guests. Today, y'all, first of all, my guest needs no introduction, but I'm going to go ahead and break it down for y'all who we got here. If you don't know him, you might want to know him. Welcome to your meeting with Central Virginia's leading business radio show, airing Wednesdays from 5 to 7. That's right, y'all. We got On the Mic with Mike right here in live at the Conversations Unearthed podcast studio. So just a little bit about Mike. On the Mic with Mike, his radio show, is where business meets culture, innovation, and impact. Hosted by the partnership guru himself, Mike King. This is Metro Richmond's leading daily social enterprise talk show, airing live on ESPN Richmond 106.1 FM to 35,000 listeners every morning. Now, I was out with Mike at the Big Dipper Summit. I'm not going to say we came together, but we ended up hanging out for a little bit.
As usual.
We ended up hanging out per usual. I arrived at this summit 2 hours prior to the people who I wanted to see speak came on because I wanted to make sure I had a seat. Okay? Earn Your Leisure was coming. Probably about 5 minutes before these people came on stage, I see a chair pulling up behind me. And Mike has his phone on the stand ready to record these people live. And I said, you know what? That's the difference between being a master guru partnership connector and me, somebody who done showed up 2 hours prior to. But I got to tell them.
The moral of the story is...
What's the moral of the story?
Who came away with the soundbite clip?
Oh, my gosh. No, look. Mike, but I got to tell them what happened when we met this particular person.
Yes.
Okay? I'm sitting with Mike. I'm chilling. He behind me in his chair. I don't know where he got this folding chair from, y'all. But
that's called age. I pulled it up.
He pulled it up from somewhere. And I had met somebody else prior to that day. She came up to me. I said, hey, how you doing? She's like, hey, how you doing? I said, you know, Mike was behind me, so I wanted to introduce them. I said, this is Mike King. Y'all, this lady, she was a white woman. This lady turned almost pale in the face. She said, Mike King, you're famous. So I think like the consensus of what you might not know is how people see you. Like people out in the world see you as this like amazing connector person. But here on the Conversations Unearthed podcast, you know, we a financial show.
Yes.
We want to unearth who you are, your successes, where you came from, and also how that got you to where you are today. So, introducing y'all, Mike King. Welcome.
Well, thank you for having me. So this is how the 1% lives.
Okay.
You've been in my studio and you see my operation.
Absolutely.
This is a lot more than I operate with. You got a lot more firepower. Your bandwidth is more than mine.
You think so?
When I run lean. And lean is we're interviewing, somebody comes to the door, I say, Bree, keep talking.
Yeah.
I have to let somebody else in.
Yeah.
That's the difference. It's like being at home. When you show up, people show up. When people come, they're nervous about whatever it is. I've never been on the radio. I've never been on podcasts. I've never been on those things. I want them to feel comfortable to tell their story. Everybody got a story.
Yeah.
And when they come in there, I want them to be able to do that. We're going to talk about where they came, what they do. There's not a script. I don't know anything a lot of times about you because I want to be wowed because I'm wowed because of I see what you're doing.
Yeah. Do you remember when I came on your show?
Yes.
When I had the lab?
Yeah.
That's crazy. I don't even know how we connected.
And I remember I told you I knew where you guys were.
Yeah.
Because before I was on ESPN, I was over at The Choice. And the person from the lab came over there with Steph B.
Okay.
So let's go to the business model since this is a financial show.
For sure.
So I'm on the mic with Mike. Is my business is Mike King Biz.
Mm-hmm.
And under Mike King Biz, there are a number of different things. One is On the Mic with Mike, which is the radio show.
Mm-hmm.
I'm on ESPN, but I don't talk sports for the most part. It's a business show. Prior to being on ESPN, I was on conservative radio, and I always kept an out in case something happened. I was on the gospel station, too. So I was on, and that's when I met the person from the lab who came on talking about that. A lot of times I see what others don't see because I'm not a real conversationalist. This is the sales mic right here. I've learned how to do this.
Well, the fact that we talked earlier before we started recording, the fact that you're an introvert is something that I think people will be very interested to hear.
Right,
about.
Because being the only kid for a long time, and back in those days, parents didn't entertain you. They're just like, my mom and dad wasn't entertaining you, just like, you didn't have friends everybody could come and stay over, but a lot of times, so you don't have things where you learn conversational things, and so I was always the quiet one, but I was always, strategic in the moves.
Okay.
And so I went to the Army, and I found, that was the thing. I went to a lot of places. I know a little about a lot of things because I'm just curious. I'm not the guy you asked started the universe. I don't know. But how do you go do this? How do you do that? I'm the person who understands the power and connecting of the dots. And there's power in numbers. I know that for sure.
Okay. Well, before we get into that, let's do some quick questions. I don't know if these gonna be quick, but I got a few different questions that I want your insight on, okay?
Alrighty.
You've been married for a while, about 45 years,
45
right?
years, yes.
Okay, what's the best line to end an argument?
There is no end. There ain't no end. The end is, all right, it starts off wrong when a person says, Mike, we got to talk. I got to talk to you.
Oh, you don't like those words.
What follows that? Nothing good.
Okay.
I didn't win the lottery. I didn't get promoted. Any of those things. When you have good news, you lead with it. When there's some corrective action that needs to happen, I need to talk to you. Or let's talk about what? Now I got to go through the mental gymnastics trying to figure out what I've done wrong over the last 45 years. That's a long time. This isn't something that happened last week.
So it's just an ongoing...
Maybe because some of my activities have been questionable at times.
Oh, okay.
It's not like it's unwarranted. Nah. I would like to say that. Nah, I didn't have my fair share of foolishness.
Okay. All right. Okay. You got any group chats in your phone?
No. I mean,
you don't have a group chat, like a family group chat, or
no,
with your kids or nothing like that?
No.
Mike, you do have a group chat.
If I do, somebody else didn't set it up because I can't have a whole bunch of. I got 2 sons coming at me. I can't have them together. Like when y'all together, what happened? Y'all want something?
Mike, how old are you?
65.
Okay. All right.
Okay, so here, let me go back to the reason why.
I thought you was younger than that.
The reason I don't have a group chat is, my mom passed away in 97.
Oh, gosh.
So me and my wife and my kids are in the car with my dad. And my sister's a minister. So, at that point, she was young. She was young.
Yeah.
So we're riding along, and my dad says to me, yo, man, I don't know what your mom left to you, but you better make damn good use of it. I'm like, yo, wait. We on the way to this. You couldn't have held that. You couldn't have waited. We ain't even there yet. And you know why?
Why?
He knew. Mom, I'm going to get my act together. I'm telling you, this is the last time I need something.
Oh,
I need something. So I've been on that side. So when my sons, when they come to me, I'm going to hook them up for the most part. Because they done went everywhere before. Man, I got to call this dude. Yes.
But you would think it might be a little easier with the group chat, because then you could just put what you needed in the. If you need to tell them something together, you looking at me like.
No, not together.
Okay, you know.
Now,
okay.
it's totally different with my grandkids.
Okay.
Like I was the king of the no with my sons.
Got you.
I'm just a straight up yes man.
Oh.
But them,
they got you.
We were at New York Deli, and this couple leaned over and they said, "You guys are the grandparents, right?" Yeah. They said, "You know how we know? They drinking milkshakes at 10:30 in the morning."
Ooh. Yeah, go be hype. They
hype.
Get what, and they got it.
And
they asked
home.
for it and they got it. And they going home.
Yeah, I don't care.
All right.
That's on you.
If your bank account could talk, what would it say to you right at this moment?
You need to straighten up.
Wait. And you gonna say you need to straighten up? What you been buying too much? You been buying too many of those watches you got on? What's that? What you got on? Go ahead. What's it?
What's
that? What you got?
Watches are my thing, but not the real expensive ones. These Invictus.
Okay.
You know, yeah, but yeah, I do like.
But I never seen one like that though, Mike. That's some exclusive stuff. That's a big face.
It is.
On it, yeah.
You know,
you got
What do you say? The big face rolly? I got 2 of those.
You got 2 big faces?
No.
Oh, I'm about to say, wait a minute. Now we got it.
We gotta talk about it. That's the Jay-Z and Kanye line.
Okay.
Okay, sorry.
No, you good. You good. I just wanted to make sure that people knew who we had in the building by the size of the watch. But lightning round. Instagram or LinkedIn?
LinkedIn.
Hustle or strategy?
Ooh. The natural says hustle.
Mm.
The understanding the better says strategy.
Okay. What's most important when starting out? Branding or sales?
Branding.
From the sales guy?
Yeah. Because if people know who you are, it makes sales easier.
That makes sense. Okay. First hire. Would you first hire an assistant or a marketer?
Considering the person who done it wrong, it would need to be an assistant. Because systems, okay, this is a lightning round.
Go ahead. No,
okay.
I know.
All right, so being from Philly, my father was a hustler. And there's a place in Virginia called Hustle. And I'm like, there's a town. I'm like, my father would have been so proud of that town, being from Hustle, Virginia. So the idea of it is, and I learned this from, shout out to Art SB and Brian Anderson from the Chamber, you can only hustle to a certain point. Systems have to take over. Look at this. It's ridiculous. I got a new phone, and I can't.
Y'all, Mike's phone done rang like 10 times.
And it never ring like that. But I can't. All of a sudden, something happened with my phone, and I can't figure out how to turn the volume down.
That's what happened when you VIP.
So, all right, so here. All right, so the idea of it, let me turn this crap on. All right, so the idea of it is that you can only hustle to a certain point. In sales, okay, and so everything can't be a one-off.
Okay,
you know,
that's true.
And salespeople shoot from the hip. That's it. I can do the marketing, side of it, but you kind of need the organizational side. Like that's my wife. It's truly the organizational person.
Okay.
And that for me, I used to be that person in the Army. I was buttoned up, and now it's just turned into this. The dude who's just like, yeah, we can get it done. But it's like, like the ESPN gym coach. So when I got to put on the real clothes, we out here conducting business because I don't want to do that much anymore.
Okay. And as a salesman, I always ask this question, mainly for myself. When were you able to leave a W-2 job in order to pretty much do your own in order to when were you making enough money to pay yourself so that you didn't have to depend on?
So the idea of it is, there's a lot of people they can't stand that. I can't work for corporate America. After I got out the Army, I became a salesman. Being a salesman is like the perfect blend. You can make everybody in the company don't like the salespeople.
Yeah.
Because you make more than most everybody else.
Yeah.
You're doing that because you bet on yourself. If I said to most people, I will give you this job and I'll pay you 75 grand a year. Most people don't, we can just make it ridiculous and say 100 grand. Most people do not have a concept with 100,000. They think it's a lot of money.
Yeah.
So like, I'll take it. They really don't care what they got to do to make 100. You go to a sales type person and be like, all right, I'll give you 100. They'll be like, or either I can give you 30,000 for the chance to make 300,000. The sales lunatic says, sure, I'll take it. Because they're willing to bet on themselves. Everybody else is going to take the sure money. So I came here in 2014. I didn't know anybody. I worked for the Henrico Citizen for a year. That's how I came with Tom Lapis. Ended up at NBC 12CW selling advertising. The money was good. The money was good, but...
How much money was it?
At that point, it was like 70.
Okay.
But that was because when I was at... And this is the one thing, is when your money is determined by other people.
That's pretty good, though, back then. Though.
Yeah, but this is... So now when I'm at AccuWeather in State College, Pennsylvania, I'm making... Doing sales, $150.
Oh, so you was taking a pay cut.
Yeah, but what happened was when you don't control your own destiny.
Yeah.
Now, all of a sudden, and we were traveling around, I could go anywhere out there selling weather content. Because of a decision somebody made, it started trending down, So, it's like you get to a certain point. If you're making $150, then all of a sudden, you're making $130. It's like, and then it keeps trending to the point where you're like, I can't take this anymore. That's what ended up causing me to look for an opportunity. I ended up here.
Okay.
So then you come here, don't know anybody, you sort of take,
what you can get. Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, so I get to the TV station.
I got you.
Making money there. It's cool, but it's not what I want and what I was used to.
Yeah.
Then all of a sudden it turns into, so Monday was payday. No, Monday was the sales day where you had to do the one-to-ones. And you got to go in and talk about how the week was, what you're going to do better, blah, 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 blah.
Okay. So I want to talk about, for one, I had a co-host and I have to shout her out every time I ask this question. Heather came up with this question. I love to ask it because it really gets into the nitty-gritty of why you do what you do. But what was your first relationship with money?
My parents always owned their own business.
Okay.
It was always around. Cash money, homie. Straight cash.
Straight cash, hey.
And my dad came from that time where just cash is king.
Okay. I love that.
Right. But the thing is, you sort of learn, but, OPM works a lot better.
Yeah, cash is king, credit is queen. That's what I like to say.
And so the idea of it was, because they always own their business, I wasn't that person who was great with money because it was always there.
It was always there. Wow. Okay. So you grew up not really wanting for anything?
No.
And you were the only child for a while.
Right. But now that was my growing up. And we grew up in the suburbs. And my parents moved to the suburbs because they got tired of paying for private school. So they moved out to the suburbs and to this town where a lot of the people, the whole town was white. Even when I went to school, 900 people graduated with me.
Wow.
And 890 were white. 4 of us were black.
Whoa.
But the black folks was kind of like the most successful ones in town.
Huh. Okay.
And so we all sort of lived on the same street in the same area. So you kind of got that kind of, fast forward, relationships happened. My sister, when I was getting older, my parents got a divorce. So my sister ended up growing up in the city, in Philly, basically in the hood.
Yeah.
And she was always that kid who stood out. Always stood out. Like the best student in the city of Philadelphia. All those things right there. She has all the accomplishments and all the letters behind the name all of that.
Okay. I'm seeing a parallel.
Right. Because so now when she grows up, she's a different relationship to money. Because it's her, my mother, and grandmother. So even my wife is the same way my wife is good with money.
Okay.
She's great with money. Me, on the other hand,
you get it.
she would always ask, like, what do you think money is for?
What's your response? Like, just
I ain't gonna say a good time, but
yeah.
This is the problem, because I was always good at making money.
See.
So there's always gonna be.
So you've always had an abundance.
Yeah.
Of money.
And I was and there were times I really didn't care about it. When I was in the Army, I went to California and I understood holistic living. And that, like, finding your being. So I didn't care about money. When I met her, all I wore was scrubs and flip-flops. And she's like, I'd never seen a black man who dressed like you. That's a...
Well, I feel like a lot of people who do have money dress like that. They're not worried about labels or brands or anything. They just want to be comfortable.
There was a thing I saw. Tim Cook from Apple walked in with an NFL guy and an NBA guy. And they looked at their watches. He has an $800 Apple Watch. These two got $400,000 watches.
And who got the most money?
Exactly.
Yeah, big bank take little bank. That's crazy. Okay, so we grew up in Philly. It's feeling like y'all kind of like the Huxtables, and it's also feeling like a little bit of the term I don't hear enough of, black privilege.
It is. And that's the thing. So I saw a thing where the black woman was on the plane with the little black girl, and she says, how come we're not sitting in for, like, what's this? And she said it's first class. And so the doctor has hey, come and sit in first class. There's we always hear about the white privilege, but there's black privilege as well.
Yeah,
and
let's talk
a lot of times like people do the whole, I didn't know what that whole Jack and Jill thing was. Like, my parents weren't into that because they weren't cultured like that. They were just good at making money, but making money not the educated way. Because my dad had been an orphan. All he knew was the business. He was like George Jefferson.
What business did he have?
So he started out when I was a kid with a dry cleaning business. Okay. So he was a dry cleaner.
Okay.
And he had like 4 of them at once. And then in the early 70s, dry cleaning, people stopped going to dry cleaners. And then he had a daycare. And then he did water treatment. And then he settled on bars and nightclubs. But the crazy part about it was we went to church all the time. So my mom was like the queen of the nightlife, but she also was in charge of the usher board and all of and all of the
Go
things.
Go off, mama. Yes, we love a versatile queen.
Right, but the thing was, like, we would have like photographers. My dad was always good with like that. Like, photographer would be following us around because both of them were tailors. And so people would look at us, and then when school was out in Pennsylvania, they'd put me on an airplane and send me to, like, Newport News, Virginia, because my uncle was here. So when I'm like 7 years old...
Mike, you the black Richie Rich.
But my dad was, there's a price with that one. Because he would always say, you have the obligation to help your people because of what we've given you. Now, you could be that entertaining black kid. No, we ain't playing that.
Nah, yeah.
Take your people and take the right people in the room because you're the ability to go in that room. That lady, I had no clue who that lady was that day. But it happens a lot. Ooh. Like, hi, Mike. I'm like, how you doing? Because if you look at me, I take a lot of pictures with a lot of people.
Yes.
But for people who know the entourage, you know what time it is.
Yeah, yeah.
I'm taking and opening doors for the young folks who may not get an opportunity to be in that room if it wasn't for somebody like me who people said, hey, come on in. I mean, like, don't send me the link for a ticket for something and not to buy.
Yeah.
And then if you're going to send me one because you want me to come, you got to have a plus. And then one is all right, but I need a couple pluses.
Okay.
Because not only that, I'm bringing Brianna. You
Who's
seen her
bring
podcast?
More value.
You seen what she does?
They might have seen a few episodes.
They might have seen other people that you talk to. So now that adds value to me.
For sure. Yeah.
Now, you see, I roll with rock stars. I say, I don't need to be the biggest dog. I roll with a pack of big dogs.
Ooh, Mike, you spitting. Okay, I want to talk about this DEI situation. Because for me, well, talking to you, this conversation, I was not aware of your upbringing before this conversation. But it seems like you guys created DEI. You weren't complaining that nobody gave you something. Like,
No.
you made something. And my thing is, like, yeah, we can sit here and we can boycott Target. My thing is, when it leaves, do you have something Black owned to replace it with? And until we can answer that question, I just don't understand, like, what the purpose of the boycott is. I understand it's to raise awareness that, you know, people should, like, understand what our dollar is worth, especially us as Black people. But when it comes to the whole ownership conversation, I feel like we don't have that conversation enough. So I want to know how you feel about this whole DEI initiative and it being snatched away and boycotting Target and all that.
I tell people, Black people, we know how to survive.
Absolutely.
I saw a thing the other day. It said the woman said it's a white lady. She said, "I'm buying weed in the store and eggs on the street."
Okay.
When you stop and think about that right there, we are going from the slave ship to Obama and Harris in 200 years.
Mm-hmm.
You don't think You don't think we can figure this out? Hard times. We know how to, because when the systems work for us, we're shocked. Yeah. When I qualified for the PPP, I'm looking around like, what? Me? Because the system worked.
Right.
Because somebody had schooled me on how to get it. And we're only talking $4,500. Yeah. But at that moment,
that was a lot. That helped a lot.
Yes, it did right then. I mean, all of a sudden you got 4 Gs. Yeah. When the system doesn't work for white Americans, they're shocked because the system is there for them. And when it doesn't, something needs to change. So, and because you see my show, and I kind of got into a little bit of a tizzy because I asked a white lady who does HR about DEI.
Okay.
And there are people who didn't. Basically, why I was asking her, because she's in HR. That's why.
Yeah.
You know, explain. Whenever I hear somebody, they talk about that whole, we're going to boycott. Okay, what are we going to do next after that? And on top of that, if you're willing to take there's a number of people who own Black-owned beauty supply stores. Mm-hmm. They're like, well, I can't go to Bree's shop because
it costs too much.
Exactly. Yep. Okay.
Yeah.
Right.
Yep. We don't have the same connections.
But you don't have a problem going giving them $160 for some Jordans.
Or y'all out there getting bottle service paying $300
for a bottle.
For a bottle, having bottle wars, just pouring it out.
Yeah. Like you in there. Okay, now you're a financial whiz. I saw that thing, and they used to say Floyd Mayweather. They said Floyd Mayweather can't read. Yeah. But I used to say, but he can count.
He definitely can count. Yeah.
But maybe he should have been reading some other things to figure out what he should do. So the idea of diversity, the people in the powers that be don't just give it up. Black folks and minorities, we give up our intellectual property quick. Frying chicken. Oh, my man over there, Hassan, you know, we make the best fried chicken. Really? Or you see Justin Timberlake, he can dance. I'm like, really? Because we give up our intellectual property too quick. We outsource it and let people use it. And then when it comes back to us, it comes back in a different form. Now you got to pay for it. When something that who out hustle us? When I first went to Lincoln from North Wales, Pennsylvania, I met these Africans, and I'd never really met Africans, and I was just like, why don't you like us?
Yeah.
Because
that's a hot topic.
It is a hot topic, and this is the answer for me, because you guys have opportunities here that we don't have in other places. Okay. I get that. But living in a college town, and we lived 2 blocks from campus at Penn State. So when the students are there are 45,000 students. America is so good, it can ruin the best of people. They come there with all kind of ambitions. They're going to be the best. And then they get to America. We're like until this administration now, we were like the young people of the world who had money. You try to tell us we rich.
Yeah.
We can go where we want. We don't have to listen to that.
Mm-hmm.
And what happens is other people come here and they see that.
Yeah.
And who do they do? Like they say, the rhythm and blues, they want our rhythm without the blues. Nobody wants America. The swagger is us.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, we give it away because we want white America traffics in experiences.
But let's talk about that too, especially when it comes down to cultural appropriation and things like that. The thing is, we bring the culture, we set the trends, but we're not supporting each other monetarily.
No,
so
because
then we
I won't go to you because
outsource.
I won't go to you at the beauty supply store because it costs $2 more.
Yeah.
But I'll go somewhere down the street and give them an extra. I won't think about that $2 when it's somewhere that I want. It's only where I kind of think, man, why she got to be like that?
Yeah.
Why? If she just bought it. Well, 90 of them got together and they put their money together. Mm-hmm. And now it allows them to buy in bulk. You try and get a coalition of us together. Ooh. Sometime it may be like, here you are. So now we don't have that ability. So now we won't go to the store. Mm-hmm. So now
how do we get united, though, Mike? How do we get united?
I think that this younger generation is better. It can be better suited at it than my generations before. I think because I think younger people have seen what their parents went through. Mm-hmm. And so their money isn't everything like the generations in the past. Yeah. So now you say that whole like YB, the currency, collaboration, and all of that are more. You guys are more willing to work together because there's opportunities to make money outside of just the workplace.
But it seems like you came from a community that did work together, that seemingly worked together.
Right, but my parents were always the time we moved into, the people wasn't really that cool with my parents. They would like them, but we were outsiders because they were all from that town. I say to people, rich, small town people don't like each other because they're related to half of them. You know your cousins. You know the cousins you don't rock with. And then you had that awkward moment when you see them and you go, Bree, what's up? How you doing?
Real, though.
Well, when we going to get together? Now we start to tap dancing. Because we're not going to do that. They don't like each other because they relate to half of them, but they hate outsiders. Richmond would still be drinking $2 PBRs if it wasn't for a bunch of New Yorkers and Northern Philly people coming down here. Yeah. Now we're drinking $20 watered down drinks and popping bottles. Yeah. In the club. Yeah. It wasn't doing that.
Well, how you feel about the migration of a lot of people from New York and New Jersey coming down here? I think it's like 20 or 30 people per month, and you can definitely tell.
I look at them. I'm like, what is there, a jailbreak from Philly and New York?
Well, it's a lot cheaper to live here.
It is,
and it's a lot of opportunity.
It is, but now it's not as cheap as it was because people. Well,
yeah, that's true.
Now you got to go further. You got to go to Petersburg.
Okay.
You got to go because that is where the next business opportunities are going to be, is in Petersburg, and the Tri-Cities.
And somebody told me that too.
I'm telling you right now.
I should have invested in. Is it still too? Is
no. And the reason is people think about the casino. Yeah. And the casino people came and got me to help them get it passed.
I heard.
Shout out to Jessica Jefferson out there.
Shout out.
Jessica was the campaign manager for the whole campaign for getting the casino passed. Everybody's not into the whole gambling thing. Mm-hmm. Just like, like when have you ever seen a casino or them gambling machines in the gas station in nicer neighborhoods?
No,
I'm just
never.
saying.
Never.
Like they're saying, this administration, Trump, how do you bankrupt casinos? The house always wins. That's why they give you free drinks. Yeah. Like when do people give you free drinks? When they want something from you.
That's true.
We're going to get them oiled up. Go ahead, y'all.
Yeah, that's true.
So the idea of it is the people are coming down and they're changing the tempo of people doing business. I heard something the other day where guy Noah Scanlon, he was at the Big Dipper Summit. Mm-hmm. And he said, what are you talking? He goes, for Richmond, the capital of creativity. I heard that. I'm like,
yeah, I don't agree with that.
Man.
I would agree with that. They calling us the new Silicon Valley, and they're saying it's a lot of money about to come into the city.
And
where the money at, Mike? Because I know you know.
We're going to be in the right rooms, and the right rooms are the ones that has to do with not like AI and the whole technology piece.
Okay.
And that's being in the rooms where those decisions, and if you're not there as just rubbing the elbows of being there. You don't need to know everything that they're talking about.
Yeah.
So when you walk into a room, that's Brianna.
Oh, that's so and so. Yeah.
Yeah, that's okay, and they know who you are.
Okay, and you've done a really good job of like monetizing your brand. Have you say 60, 65, right?
Yes.
What is retirement look like for you? Are you ever gonna retire?
This is what I'm doing right now. If I did this and I came into Richmond when I was in my 40s, I would have kicked the door in. Now, I can't kick the door. My hip hurting.
Oh, my God.
You guys on the second floor, I'm like, thank God. I was up there the third floor last time. My man Randy Wilson, he talking to me. I can't breathe. We ready to start. Hold up a second, homie.
Oh, my God. But I just feel like the longevity of, even if you don't, like, if you're not in it, your name can still be in it, and you can still make money. Yeah.
And so when I was younger, so I got out the Army, and I realized I was horrible about being out of the Army. I was in the Army for 4 years, and then I got out. I was horrible. You mean I don't have to come to work today? I could just call you and tell you I'm sick? Like, that's it? But I missed the camaraderie of it, so I ended up going back in.
Oh, okay.
So when I'm there, when I'm out, I was working at this insurance company, doing customer service calls, taking calls in.
Yeah.
But my dad, among the other things, had sold insurance. And he knew somebody at this company, Northwestern Mutual. So here, Colonial Penn was where people were talking. It was like, car insurance and all that. And it was just, at this level. And then you go to Northwestern Mutual, which is 2 floors up. And we're talking people who were millionaires and people who had, affluence. And I'm like, and you see some of them people, they come in and, man, they was 1,000 years old, men still coming in with suits on.
1,000 years old?
Still doing business. I'm looking at this going, They were 1,000.
Yeah.
And they looked every inch of it. And I thought about,
But you was in the right room.
Yeah. And it didn't last long for me to be here doing that. And I ended up going back to the Army. But the mindset was there. I don't need to be, we ain't got to be working hard at it.
Yeah.
My wife, I'm not allowed out really on Fridays.
You're not allowed out?
No, but I'm a grown man. I can't be saying that. So when I tell people, let me check my, no, I can't. No.
Okay, I like that. I can't. Because you said too, when you went in the Army, you came out married and with a baby.
Yes.
So now you got these 2 people to take care of.
But my wife, she was in the Army.
Okay, so y'all, okay.
Yeah, she was in the Army.
So she was making her own money too.
Yeah, when we were good. And she always had money compared to me.
Oh, okay.
And so when... Okay.
Take your time.
Yes.
It's just me and you here.
I met her through her friend. And we were out in Kansas. And her friend says, hey, you got to meet my friend. When she gets here, you're going to like her.
I like this. Okay, I love a nice love story. And so she's from New York.
And next thing you know, she comes. I'm working in the ER. And that night, in the military, you had to do duty. So I was on duty when she came with this other person.
Another man.
And it's like, next thing you know, boom, boom, boom.
Wait, so she was with somebody? She was
No,
dating?
she came with another person. They were getting transferred to Kansas.
I got it.
And so they came from Missouri. So next thing you know, bada bing, bada boom.
Y'all met. So what did you say to her? Like, what's your pickup line? Or is it just swag?
No, I didn't have no swag.
You didn't have no, okay.
No, I didn't have swag.
He like, well, let's just
you want to go to the NCO club and go get some drinks. I didn't even know how to drink, really.
Okay.
So we were at this party, and she knew who I was, and I was standing at the bathroom. It was like a VFW. And she walks out of the bathroom and standing there, and she flicks this water on me. And I'm just standing there, I'm looking like, what's wrong with this girl? But she knew that I knew her best friend. Next thing you know, She's like, hey, and she's like, I want to go, and I bought this car.
Mm-hmm.
I bought a car because I want to be able to take her places.
Okay.
It was a hot rod, and I love hot rods.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And so.
So you bought the car. So she kind of leveled up your mindset too.
It's a definite.
Definitely.
Because now I gotta get her places.
Yeah.
So I said to her, "Are you
pregnant?"
What? Like, don't say that. We both working in the medical field. Why are we going to Denny's at 11 o'clock at night? So then when we realized, I'm like, all right, you got to call my mom and tell her she can be a grandmother. Because my mother is right.
Now you got to go.
I ain't calling my mother. Tell my mother.
How old were y'all?
21.
Okay.
My mother come to Kansas and kill me.
Yeah.
I'm not going to tell her so. You told my mother. I had to go to Alaska. I went up to Alaska. Son was born. Come back. So I said to her, hey, when you go to New York on leave, because we have a baby in the Army, you go on leave. So when you go on leave, why don't you go from New York, go take our son down to Philly so my mother could meet her grandson.
Oh.
And so she goes and she gets off a Greyhound bus in Philly with a baby. My mother's standing on the step. How you doing, Miss King? This is your grandson.
Mm-hmm. Oh. Mm-hmm. And then, so how soon after that did y'all get married?
About 3 months. And that was something. So I got back.
Quick.
No, I wasn't there. I was in Alaska.
Oh, okay.
So when I got back from Alaska, they give you money for going away.
Oh, okay.
So I was going to go buy a car. And she grew up because she didn't really, New Yorkers, they don't deal with cars. So she wanted a family car. I wanted this. You don't remember this car, the Starsky and Hutch. I know, you don't know. So Starsky and Hutch had this cool car. It's like a Camaro.
Okay.
And it was red and there's a stripe on it. And I went with a friend who was buying a car, and I saw that car. After me and her, I saw a car that we settled on. And when we go buy the car that morning, me, her, and the baby, they roll around there with the Starsky and Hutch joint.
You was getting money, Mike.
No, because I needed her with her credit and money, because I didn't have enough. So
but you had the money. Which we talked about, cash is king.
But no, because they give you stuff. You're in the Army.
Oh yeah.
They give you anything.
So you got the good loan too, because you.
Well, they wasn't good, but.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
They gave you the car, but she wouldn't sign. I'm like, excuse me, sir, because she didn't want this car. It's like 2-door car. We got a baby.
Yeah. Oh, okay, that makes sense.
And we ended up doing that.
I guess that didn't make sense.
So we bought the car at 10, went downtown to this preacher at 1. So she had on these Willie, you know who Willie Nelson is?
Yeah.
Like she had these Willie Nelson culottes on.
Okay.
And I was about dressed up as I could.
Okay.
And the preacher said, how you doing? He said, you guys have any witnesses? Does his baby count? No, sir, that baby doesn't count. And he went across the street to the barber shop and came back with these 2 people. What's up? How you doing? I'm Mike. This is Donna. That's Michael. Nice to meet you. They were witnesses. And then I went to work at 4 o'clock that day.
What a day.
What a
he
day.
He bought a car at 10 o'clock.
Got married at 1 o'clock.
Got married at 1 o'clock.
And went to work at 4 o'clock.
Went to work at 4 o'clock. Wow, that.
So the idea of it is.
And they've been married for 45 years, y'all.
Right, and what we do is, but it's not 45 years. It's a bunch of days to stack and stack. It's like being in business.
But I'm just saying, too, like, people go out of their ways to have these lavish weddings, like 50. I got a friend right now that's paying, like, at least 60, 70K for her wedding. And I'm just like, is it really?
I mean, it is the day that you want, but, man, we didn't gave that 60 grand to somebody else. I ain't an expert, but there may come a time down the road when you might need that 60 grand. And you're going to need it. I'm telling you, because there's going to be certain things that pop up. There's opportunities that you can't have because you didn't gave it to the wedding planner.
Yeah. Okay, now we got to talk about y'all moving 22 times.
Yes.
Because that's, I like real estate.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, a lot of times, so we have a house in Pennsylvania.
Okay.
That we've had for 20 years.
Okay.
We haven't lived in that house for 15 years.
Oh.
Since before we came here. because we always wanted to keep it to just in caser.
Yeah. Is it paid off?
Mm-hmm.
Wow. You got a tenant in there?
Yep. Well, so we kept people in there the whole time. We've had long-term folks over the course of time.
How many rentals do y'all have?
Just the one.
Just that one? Okay. So y'all been moving. So you bought a house every time you moved. You sold a house.
A lot of times we didn't buy a house here because we didn't know. I didn't know whether we were gonna stay here.
Okay.
And because one, my wife wasn't a big fan of Richmond. It's okay, but it wasn't like, boy, this is gonna be the last stop.
Yeah.
The last stop was more than likely going back to Pennsylvania. So our kids grew up in York, Pennsylvania, but I loved the mountains. So I wanted to go back to State College, to the mountains of Penn State. Okay. And I would think that's where we would go. Then this business thing took off, and now it's kind of like, okay, now this is more than I ever thought it would be.
Okay.
A lot more.
Yeah, no, for sure. All right, we got a few more fire round questions. Okay. Stocks or real estate?
Real estate.
Okay. Would you take $1 million one time or $10,000 a month for life?
Give me that $5,000 a week for life. I'm good.
And this $10K a month for life.
It don't matter.
It don't matter.
I'm taking that.
You like the month, so you would rather have the recurring stream of income rather than a lump sum.
I could see that being problematic for a person like me.
Okay. Yeah. You would spend it all.
I ain't gonna say all. And I'm gonna say I'm better than I used to be.
Okay.
But ain't nobody ever gonna confuse me with a financial whiz.
Now I gotta ask, what's the most ridiculous thing you've spent money on? Like, you just look back and was like, why did I buy that?
It would be, if there was something I could say that would be it. It's just a good time.
What's a good time for Mike?
Oh, we were just hanging out.
Okay.
So a lot of times I've done the restaurant thing and just sitting there and just having a great time, messing around. Me and my wife, we sitting there. I did a deal with the Hilton downtown. All right, so I was at the Embassy Suites because the manager there was at the Hilton. So I had an account at the Hilton. So my friends would come there. I'd have events. They would pull up. We always had valet. I'm sitting at the bar like the mob boss.
Oh, my gosh. I can see you now.
And I'm sitting in the corner. That was my seat. So it wasn't anything. It wasn't. I always like cars, too, but it wasn't. Now it's not a minivan. It's a little SUV because my grandkids. But
okay.
But it wasn't that one thing like, yo, you won't believe. Because I was saying, white America traffics in experiences. Mm-hmm. Black America, a lot of time, traffics in stuff.
Yeah. We wear our assets on our ass.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And so what happens is, we who got to this, who got to that, who got to that. Whereas they're in the room talking about, the time we went to, or when my kids go to, or where they say, I saw Mike, that's why I post a bunch of things. You see where I'm at, right?
Yeah.
You see who's in this room. Because, and it's more than, I got these pair of Jordans. Or I got now a Rolex watch now, that could be,
I mean, I feel like that's a pretty good investment.
That's an investment.
Watches go up in
Watches
in
do.
Yeah.
And a lot of times but I've never had that one thing.
I got you. Okay.
I'm dying by 1,000 paper cuts. Or as a friend would say, getting bit to death by a duck.
Yeah. Okay, all right. So what's the brokest you ever been?
Brokety broke.
Brokety broke.
Yes.
Okay. Yes. That's the answer to the question. Is yes. Okay.
Here's a clue. If you broke it and broke, you need to have a partner who's good with money. Now, what it may take for you to get a buck is different.
Oh, yeah.
So,
yeah,
broke is a relative term.
Yeah.
it's like affordable housing.
Mm.
Broke means different things to different people.
True.
My broke is totally different than my wife's broke.
Oh, okay. What's your broke?
Broke.
What's your wife's broke?
It ain't broke.
It ain't broke.
I got some money.
Okay. So she
somewhere.
Okay.
She
so when
always
she gets
got
to a
money.
certain number in the bank account, she's
She
like,
broke.
all right,
I ain't got no more.
yeah, okay.
And then it's like, oh, well, in reality, and she used this in sales with me too. When a person says, I don't have any money, or the money's here, and she would say, Mike, they ain't got money for you. They got money. They just not giving it to you.
I got you. Do y'all share a bank account?
Yes.
Okay.
But she run it. I get my little, like I tell people, I can't go and asking her for money is like not good. It's not good. Okay. Because I don't do a lot of things outside of home. I just go do what I gotta do. And like you said, we've had a good time and run the street.
Yeah.
So I'm back home at 4:00.
Okay.
Now I get her to go a lot of places with me.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, here's a crazy story. So I'm taking my grandkids into Cinebistro. And so my grandson my oldest one, he is 12 at the time. So as we're walking in, he goes, yo, Scamp, this is going to be expensive. You know who I am? They be like, oh, yeah, Mike King Biz.
Okay.
You're 12 years old. Well, when I left out of there like 2.5 hours later, 300 less,
ooh.
I was like, this boy was not playing.
He was right.
He was right.
Expensive. Yeah, no,
this was salty.
You can run it up in Cinebistro.
I didn't know.
Quick. Yeah.
And you're getting carried. See, this is another thing, getting carried away.
Yeah.
They get you to feeling good.
Mm-hmm.
Next thing you know, they're coming by ordering.
Yeah.
And then you get, ooh, Lord. And now you can't back out. So,
you can't. You can't back out.
So broke.
Yeah.
Broke.
I got you. Okay. A lot of events, I know at one time I asked you, I said, Mike, it was this event that I went to and you sponsored it. And you were like, oh, I did? Like, you were like, I sponsored so much stuff that I don't know what, sometimes I don't know what I'm sponsoring. So how do we get there to just having enough money to be able to sponsor? Because the events now, let me tell you something, they were not just any event, okay? They were very, very nice events. But how you just sponsoring stuff and you don't know what you...
I might have forgotten what that was. Okay, it's the power of the name.
I got you.
It's the power of the name.
I got you.
So eventually you get to a point where people want to be associated with you.
The brand, yeah.
And now, I remember, all right, so shout out to Kelly Lemon, shout out to Kels.
Shout out to Kelly Lemon.
And Kels said to me, I don't know, 2015, 16, 17, like, I don't get up off the couch for no reason, this or that. And so, like, you're going to have to figure out the value of your name and brand.
Yeah.
So, I don't know, maybe around 20, 21, 22, to your Kels, I guess it took you 5 years to figure it out? I told you that years ago. So as you're building the brand and the name, I'm sponsoring things where it makes sense for me to be in that room.
Okay. So let's just say I got an event coming up and I need a sponsor. I want Mike King to sponsor it. How does someone ask you to sponsor?
Will you sponsor this thing? And I'm like, all right, so here.
What is it? Okay.
Now it comes into, this is what I can do. Sometimes I go places and the person may want me to buy, say they sell shea butter.
Okay.
Now, everybody in the sun selling shea butter. Now, I could buy the shea butter from you. Mm-hmm. And it could be, I don't know, $10, whatever.
Oh, okay, I got you. Mm-hmm.
Or it'd be like, yo, Bree, check this out right here. Because I'm valuing you. I'm going to have you on my program. And I'm going to tell people how fantastic you are. And then I'm going to be like, yo, what can I do to help you? There's more of a value in that than me buying that one shea butter from you.
Yeah. Okay.
But sometimes people don't get that.
Yeah.
And I can't do it with everybody. I can't be at every party or everything.
Yeah.
One, because then the value,
it waters down, especially, and that's one, like, oh my gosh, that's a lesson that I've learned this year, probably within the last few weeks or so, is that you can't be available to everybody. You can't.
And I learned that the hard way because it was too. People really had really easy access to me.
Yeah. Same. I feel like people have easy access to me in a way, but it's like then you share your space with that person, and they're not. I don't want to say worthy of it,
but you don't want to come
appreciative of it
because they don't know what it took.
Exactly.
Like we're in your studio. I don't know what it took for you to get here. Now, if I don't have an appreciation for that, then I'd be like, well, it's just like me. I let people know the difference between me and a podcast is I pay to be on the radio every morning. Now, if I don't pay them, it's not like you're not going to hear nothing. You're just me listening to ESPN stuff. Yeah. That's what it comes down to. So I have to let you know the reason why I'm doing this. So now the whole sponsorship thing is you're head and shoulders above everybody else. And people got to pay for that.
That's one of the guys at the Big Dipper Summit. He was a correspondent for ESPN. I forget what his name was, Sam or something like that. But he basically just said the play. Like the same thing that you're doing, he advised people to do. He's like, yeah, like we have this space here on an ESPN where like other creators can kind of like use our brand to kind of widen their audience. He's like, I tell people that all the time. Like that's the best way to brand yourself is to associate yourself with the bigger brand sometimes. And
people don't get that.
People don't get it.
And for me, there was nobody else had been doing this before I did. And nobody's really done it since then. Because we're talking about where are you going? And why are you being associated with this? Why would I brand myself and associate with the Hilton? It is a brand that people know. Why, when you get that endorsement from Earn Your Leisure, why does that make you different? Because they don't do that for everybody. There's a bunch of people in this town that have pictures with them, me included. But they wasn't saying, ooh, you got to get on the mic with Mike. No.
Yeah.
They're telling you. You told them something that was compelling to them. It makes you different.
Yeah.
And next thing you know, they take the mic and they start talking about it. All you do is just drop it right there. Drop the mic and walk off. I don't need to say nothing else. You saw.
You saw it, yeah.
You saw it.
You saw it, yeah.
This ain't AI.
And I will say, like, everything has been aligning for me. Like, I tell everybody, my pastor, he came down from Fredericksburg to see me one day. God told him to come see me. He came to my studio and he said, God got something big for you. He said, it's not for me to tell you, but it's coming. And he said, you might think that you're the one making all these connections. You might think you're the one putting yourself in these rooms. He said, God got his hand on your head, just guiding you. He's like, you got something on you. And I always pray, like, my biggest prayer is when people see me, I want them to see God or feel God. Like, not that I want to appear like a God, but I want my spirit and my soul to be so genuine. And I want my message to be so potent, and I want people to come on like yourself who has a brand, who cares about their brand, and who is like a great at what they do. Like just good energy, good people at what they do. Those are the stories that I want to amplify. And
those are the stories, and those are the people that you keep around.
Exactly.
And that's what you do. And so you can tell people by their tribe or their crew.
Yeah.
What are people doing?
Yeah.
Because everybody tells you they're grinding. Everybody under the sun, I'm grinding.
Yeah.
All right, okay.
So
I'm not telling people I'm grinding.
No, you just doing it. You definitely, you don't, Mark, you ain't got to say it. Because you literally everywhere.
And it looks like that because I'm taking pictures.
Yeah, your digital footprint.
I'm just leaving them because you never know who sees it. People may not like, people may not follow, all those things. But they see it.
Yeah.
So when you walk into a place, your brand has got there before you.
Yeah.
And it doesn't matter how great the content. I'm just putting stuff up there. Half of my head is in the picture.
Yeah.
But you see the people behind me. Yeah. They're enjoying the moment. They think it's funny.
Yeah. And I think, too, for me, like, I've learned, I probably took a page from your book with this, too, because your name is on everything. Like your vest.
I put my name on
shirt,
everything.
Your name is on everything. So on my podcast page, on the Netflix page, I changed the name from Conversations Unearthed. The name of the page is still at Conversations Unearthed, but the title is the Brianna Moore Network. So every time I post something, I'm leaving that digital footprint. And do you know I Googled my name the other day, and it popped up that I was a public figure.
Oh, you know what happened? So a lot of people know Will Melton.
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
I went to Will. So I've known Will did my website. Like I knew him as his company Exponent 21.
Yes.
And so I knew him as that guy. Then he became the Richmond Water guy.
And he don't work with just anybody.
No.
Like you gotta have a certain net worth to work with him.
Right now, that wasn't always the case because Will didn't know a bunch of people.
Okay.
When we got started.
I got you.
So we used the platform of, ESPN.
Yeah.
And we built that thing. So that was the idea of using it. So I put my name on everything because people are just like, what's your name? I'm like, we're rocking everybody's name on this and that. Yeah. You look at this generation, like there's old LeBron and Jordan. I'm a LeBron guy.
Okay. Really? Interesting. Because you're from the
Jordan era.
Yeah.
But you can't deny what he's done. And I love his business operations and dealings as well. 25 years from now, people are not going to be talking about LeBron and Jordan because LeBron he's going to hold all of the records. Mm-hmm. It's only now because people are in that era of back in the day. It used to be Whitney Houston or Mariah Carey.
Okay. You
don't hear that conversation anymore. Whitney Houston then died, and Mariah Carey owned Christmas.
Nah, for sure. Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah.
There's not a.
Rest in peace to Whitney.
Exactly. She may be the voice of our generation.
Absolutely, yeah.
But it's not a competition anymore. So that's the idea. That's why I put my name on everything. So here is Brianna. It allows you to do all the other things. So it's Mike King Biz. It's the radio. I take the same content that I shoot for radio with the sponsors in radio. I take the same content, put it on TV with different sponsors in TV. And then I go to the golf tournaments or speaking engagements, and then I don't golf. I should, and I'm thinking about learning, but I don't. Should. So I would go out there with golf tournaments, and I would put the easy up and say, hey, how you doing? Hey, would you like that? Nobody would. I'm like, oh, okay, really? Y'all gonna do me like that? Give me a golf cart. And then I started rolling up on people like Caddyshack in a golf cart, just asking people. Then I'm like, this is crazy. So what I should do is I got a poll and I put ESPN Richmond and Mike King Biz. So now people see me. They see that I'm getting a new one done with my picture on one side. So now I call it Golf Cart 1. So when I come to your event, Reba from CBS 6 explained to me, Mike King isn't showing up. Mike King, ESPN Richmond is showing up. Now all of a sudden you're using that platform of the reason why. So when you talk about the sponsorships, there's certain ones that I do, but it has to make sense because we are not on the level. People do not understand what it takes for you to do this.
Yeah. So now that goes to my next question. You've done a lot of sponsorships. You've given a lot of airtime away for free as well.
100,000 minutes.
100,000 minutes. Wow.
Since I started the show.
My question is, what has been like the biggest return from that?
When I walk into a room.
Well, I mean, like just even from an individual person, because I know like I did a podcast with somebody. I paid a good amount of money for it, and then she turned around and gave me something in return that equaled the amount of money that I paid for the podcast to film it. It was not any money. It was access to an event. Like, I wouldn't have known about it if we wouldn't have had that exchange. So that's why I'm wondering, like, has it been something that has happened to you after
everything.
Something? It's everything. Okay.
It is everything.
I got you.
Door. So with American Heart, you end up in rooms with the people who own major companies. Or we go to an event. So Dean and Francis and I, we went to an event. And like even when I see the mayor, I'm at the same table. It's like, hey, Mike, that's what we do. And those are because of the relationships and the sponsorships. It is VCU basketball. It is American Heart. it is the National Association of Women Business Owners. Then I take my partners with me to those. So if I have a hosting event, like I'm going to do dancing with the local stars for the Down Syndrome Association, I don't want to stand up there and host that thing by myself. So what I do is I go to my partner, Joanna Smith. Hey, you want to host this thing with me? And then I go to them and tell them, yo, she's going to host this with me. Now, what are you going to say?
Yeah.
No?
You can't say no.
No?
No, we just want you. You can't say that.
You can. I'm
you
helping
could,
you
but-
guys out.
Yeah.
I'm not dying to be up here talking to a whole bunch of people.
Yeah. Yeah.
But now I'm lending the name, and what I'm also doing is put my friend in position to win.
Okay. And is this Mike King Biz, is this an LLC?
Yes.
Okay.
And that happened 2018. And it happened because a friend of mine, shout out to Nicole Reed, who was just like, because at that point, I was just, it started out that I was selling for NBC 12, selling advertising. Well, you make money off of selling the advertising airtime, but you need a commercial to do it. So the station would charge you $2,500 to make the commercial. I know, shout out to my man Will Roy. It's the first person I was rocking with shooting video. So he would shoot the video for a big time discount compared to the TV station. I'm getting it on air because that's how I get paid. Everybody wins.
Ooh.
Everybody wins.
You broke that down.
That's the way it works. So I win. The TV station wins. I mean, the only people, they didn't get that production, but $2,500 for a 30-second spot is...
Yeah, for 30 seconds?
30 seconds.
I've been talking to the wrong people.
That's why when you see, it's the power of the media.
Yeah.
When you see the Michael and Sons and the lawyers and TV, some of them are spending $60,000 a month.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. I know a wholesaler who spends $250,000 a month on marketing, okay. But he brings in $500,000. So,
yes.
Yeah. Whew. Okay. Well, I don't even know. Like, this has been amazing. You dropped so much knowledge. I want to know if there's how we usually end it is like I ask if you have a favorite quote or a book that you're reading right now or have read that's really impacted you.
So there's a guy, this guy named Bo Jackson, and not the football Bo Jackson.
Okay.
No, it's this guy. Bo Jackson is from Tappahannock, and so he's from Norfolk State, and so they brought him to the TV station to teach me advertising. Okay. Because I knew how to sell, but I didn't know advertising, and I didn't know Richmond.
Okay.
So outside of Bo's door, there was a sign that said, and Bo is late 30s.
Okay.
So at that point, so it said G, the letter G with dot, and then it's 4 S's. And I would always ask him, yo, man, what's that stand for? And he'd just say, I can't tell you, ain't ready. So as I'm getting ready to leave the TV station, finally, like, yo, what's that stand for? He goes, all right, you ready now? I'm like, man, I'm 60 years old. You know what? I've been ready. It stands for go sell something.
Go sell some.
Right. Go sell some, be something.
Oh, okay.
So it's go sell something. You got me?
Wait, can you break it down one more time?
Yes. It's the G. Go sell some, be something. Those are the 4 S's.
Okay.
That's the first part. So he says, and the reason you say that is, and the other part is, don't get outworked by the panhandler. Because the panhandler is standing outside where we're talking about how hot it is in here. They stand on the corner out on mid-low working, getting money. Yeah. Well, we're sitting here talking about it's hot. The other one, and that was the first part. So go sell somebody something. That's a nice version. Go sell somebody something. You want to make it happen? Go sell somebody something.
Go sell somebody something. Okay.
And then the second part of that is don't get outworked by the panhandler.
I like that. Don't get outworked.
Joy Bell from Joy Bell's Pie. I asked her, when do you know you made it? When the homeless dude on the corner said, "Hey, ain't you the pie lady?"
Oh, okay. I like that.
Now the quote from my father, which is, this ain't even a quote, it's a mindset. It's not what you know. It's not who you know. It's who knows you. That's it. When you walk into a room, you don't have to break down who you are and tell people. People know who you are. The other part with that one is, I may not be number one, but number one, know who I am. They know who I am. I may not be there. I may not have the financial firepower as the TV stations, the Richmond Times Dispatch, or Richmond Biz Sense. Oh, but they know. They know who I am.
Okay. Yeah, you broke that down. Okay. And my quote is, you might appreciate this one. The only thing that makes war tolerable is brotherhood.
Being from the military.
Yeah.
There's a thing. Old men so young, people off the war to die. That's what they do. You're making old person decisions that young people got to back it up.
Yeah.
Women can get together and form a bond and relationship. Men can't. Not like that. You got to do hard stuff. Yeah. You got to do hard stuff. And he'd be like, okay, we're bonded now. But other than that, because men got to hit the lowest level. Like you ask a number of people, how broke have they been? Most of the time women are broke, but you tell the guys, how broke? Broke. All the letters are capital.
There's no money left. It's
None.
gone.
There is not.
Oh, my God.
And they don't have any receipts. That's why when a man sees another man who's good with money, we be like, wow. He comes, of course, as responsible.
So like a Jay-Z, something like that's probably why he's so popular in that way then.
Right.
Okay.
Because he can speak English, a street sort of English. He got street cred.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. Well, Mr. Mike King, thank you so much for dropping the mic, dropping so much knowledge. Thank you for taking time out of your busy schedule. Something that I say all the time is, time is our greatest asset. So I appreciate you for sharing some of your time currency with me. Y'all definitely make sure to follow Mike on all social media platforms. Shout out everything you got going on and how we can support you.
On the mic with Mike, ESPN Richmond. The business breakdown with Mike King Biz, that's coming to you soon, as well as Mike King Biz in the metaverse. Or is a guy to me, the Mikeverse.
Oh, okay.
When he said that, I was just like, ooh, I kind of like that.
I like that. So
those are the things. But here's been a big deal being on with you. When you start to look at somebody and the trajectory you've taken with this right here, this is your thing. So you also, like, I just got off the road. I just came out because you were at something, meeting people. Like I said, I rolled up 5 minutes before Earn Your Leisure came on. But in the end, you got him to give you the shout out. Yeah. Here, you're smiling. I'm up there with the rest of the people trying to get, hey, how you doing? Here, y'all up there like they done turned into your besties.
I snuck into the green room, y'all. Mike was like, he said, how did you get that video on Earn Your Leisure? They were back, they were on stage, they were in the back. How did you
okay,
do that?
Now, while you're over there backstage, you know where we were? Over at the other part of the green room with the food and drinks.
In the actual...
In the green room. You standing behind the stage where the real players at, and we're wondering, so where they at? And here you've done the video. Ladies and gentlemen, that's how you do it.
Hey, you got to kick down the door. You got to, because I don't think anybody was supposed to stop me. And then I got this thing now. I was a nurse for a long time. I saw people die a lot. And a lot of people, I just feel like when you see people die every single day, it strips a level of fear away from you. Yeah. You don't really care about, hey, even if they do kick me out, I'm alive. I'm alive. And then my pastor put that battery in my back too and said, God got his hand on my head, just moving me. So I said, well, technically I can blame it on God if something happened for real. You know what I'm saying?
I don't have that level. No, I don't.
Mike said, I didn't want to go back there. I thought I was going to get in trouble.
Philip, like, come on, we're going to go back there. I'm like, Somebody goes, how about somebody stop us? He goes, don't worry about it.
Don't worry about it yet.
No, man, I'm not going to make that's young person enthusiasm.
Okay.
That's young person enthusiasm. But
you
it's
also have
pleasure.
a little more to lose. I feel like I ain't really got as much to lose as you.
You
done already built your
you're
connections.
right, but there's things that I can get away with now that he couldn't get away with because of being older and how people see me. You build that up, sort of. I mean, because there is something about being longevity.
Yeah.
And when people just get used to seeing you, the more you put these out, the more people you talk to, it's going to run into it first. People are going to be like, so who are you? And what's your podcast? And what are you doing? And then it's just turned into, you see my work, go ahead and look. Mm-hmm. You're going to see somebody on there you know.
Yeah.
And then that makes it easy to go to open the next door. The next door, you don't even know what it is right now. That's why it makes it easier. This is the show, but it's under the Brianna brand.
Yeah.
Then that way, the other things that you're like, sure, I can do that. Writing a book, yeah, I could do that.
Yeah.
Putting together financial literacy in business, yeah, I could do that. And giving it, like everybody wants to, how do you do a podcast, okay? All those things that you monetize, I think of something and I find somebody to pay for it.
That's where we're hitting a wall over here at the Conversations Unearthed podcast, trying to find somebody to pay. Because I'm funding everything myself now, which is...
I did that.
Yeah. I mean,
and everybody does that until you find
it.
somebody who shares, who sees it.
Yeah.
And it's not going to be everybody isn't going to see it.
I met a lot of investors at the Big Dipper Summit.
And the thing is, when I first got there, I always wanted to work down at, like, have an office and operate out of the 1717 building.
Yeah.
Because I thought that was cool and hip.
Building. Yeah.
And, a lot of innovative people there and startups. And I met a woman she's Filipino. And so I tried to make all kind of deals with them. Hey, what you guys trade? Because I don't want to spend the money. They're like, no, across the board. And she said to me, wow, being in that place, it feels defeated. And I do, because I see them giving money to all them white dudes with ideas that ain't never going to fly. And here she has an IT company teaching coding to kids. And they're teaching like what an infinite loop is and doing all those things. And she had a history and she had success, but they wouldn't give it to her. So she's just like, being a woman and being Filipino, it definitely didn't help. So my view of being there is, you know what? I started to, but I got there late. I would have put the mic up on the I can't go and mic them up, but I'll lay the mic right there. I took the chair, I pulled up. One of the things, you know what they said? Start where you are. Get started now. I was like doing this with a track phone.
Yeah.
And even now, these, the Meta glasses are kind of like, I've got other things, but those are like the most important things. I built this on.
Yeah.
It's
so
not
you
about,
saying you would have went and mic'd up Earn Your Leisure?
No, I wouldn't have been able to. I can you.
Mike.
I would have laid the microphone up on the stage.
Can you put this?
Like, security. But the only problem was, like you said, it wasn't no security.
Hey, I won't go say that. But yeah, it won't.
It's like security. No, I'm not going up there and asking them to put their mics on.
I went behind the curtain of the green room, and the people was like, "How you doing? Enjoy yourself." I would have got me some champagne and everything. Shout out to y'all. Shout out. And then when I was talking to Earn Your Leisure, I don't know how I got back there, but one of the guys it wasn't Ken or Braylon. It was the other guy who worked with them. But he had a really big part in building this summit, and he was actually on the panel that was going up next. I had him. I don't know what I said to these people, Mike. I have no idea. But all I know is
clearly you said
everybody
the right thing.
was like clapping. After I'm like, oh, okay, I might not be in trouble.
And no, you were not in trouble. How long did it take you to get that video up? From the time, what was it like when you saw the video? Wait, forget all that. I'm taking over this interview. How did you get to who was holding the camera?
Let me tell you, I told you, Mike, God be working for real. God really be working. So Paris, I don't know if you know Paris. She's a content creator. She was doing a lot of content for the summit.
Yes.
And she just so happened to be positioned right beside me when I started talking to Troy. And so she pulled out her camera and started recording it from that angle. He took my phone because I just wanted a picture. He took my phone. He exited out of the Instagram app and went to the camera app and started recording the video. So I got 2 different angles of this video. I'm sitting there, and in the video with Paris, I'm actually crying in that video, so I cut that part out. You don't see me crying, but I'm in there like, so she ended up sending it to me like after I got done, and that's pretty much how it happened.
What was it like when you looked at that video and realized what you had?
Dang.
And who'd you send it to
Those are
first?
my idols. I didn't send it to anybody. Those are my idols. Like at first, I wanted to just keep it for myself. I wasn't even gonna post it.
You can't hold that.
I wasn't because these are my guys. Like these people taught me about real estate, stocks. Like these people are the reason for my financial freedom in a way. It's not nobody around me in my neighborhood that knew about stuff like that. And then it was coming from the perspective of guys too. I didn't grow up with a lot of men in my family, so it was nice like being a fly on the wall. But and like I told him, I had Rashad laugh, and I was like, yo, like I love listening to y'all, but it's a lot of testosterone going in my ear all the time. Like I feel like that's why I said I love when y'all have women on. Shout out to Kiana Watson. I love Kiana Watson, Metro real estate broker in the Metro Atlanta area, but she comes on the platform too and talks about real estate. So now they plugging me into all of these different people, and I have formed my own network of mentors who don't know me, but I'm capitalizing off of this free information. Like those are my guys. So like when I got that video, it was unreal. I was like, dang God.
So
You did your big one. You did your big one with that one.
Look at God.
Look at
so
God.
Wait a second. So you realize they're coming. All right, the Big Dipper's coming. And then you see they're coming. Mm-hmm. What was it like when you saw that they were coming?
Okay, so let me tell you. So I went to the Tom Tom Festival with Ashley Williams.
Okay.
She invited me to the Tom Tom Festival. And I didn't even know about the Big Dipper Summit. The only reason why I knew is because Ashley's fiance is on the he works with Ken at JMI in some capacity. He's a very big part of putting this summit together. And so she was like, yeah, I think it's gonna be some guys there named like Earn Your Leisure. And she said, yeah, Earn Your Leisure. They gonna be there. I said, all right, I'm getting my ticket. Like all you gotta do is tell me a piece of information, especially if the person who is telling me I trust and like I look up to, you ain't gotta tell me twice, I'm gonna do it. So I got my ticket probably that same day. And then when I saw them coming first, I thought they was gonna cancel. I ain't know, like, they got a lot going on. They got a lot going on. But I saw Paris prior to me seeing them. And she was like, this is why I felt like I messed up too. She was like, they've been sitting back there for like 2 hours. Like I said they've been back there just by themselves. And I ain't get a chance to say nothing to them. I felt defeated, Mike. And then I had pulled up 2 hours before just so I could have my seat. And then you done pulled up your chair. I said, dang, I could have.
Because you sitting up in the comfy chair.
The front.
Right up in the front.
I think I took somebody's seat. The dude came. He was like, I was sitting right here.
Yeah,
I said,
he did.
I'm sorry.
Because the bag was there. Next thing I see you sitting there. That's why I pulled that chair close to you. I put that chair right there.
He was like, no, obviously. He was like, this means so much more to you than it do to me. I said, thank you. His name was David. Shout out to you. But yeah, I don't know. I felt divine. And when I went back there and was talking to the mic, I ain't see nobody else. I ain't see nobody. I seen feet, but I ain't see it was like I was out of my body. Crazy.
Well, it worked.
It definitely worked. And one last thing I'm going to say before we shut it down. I prayed to God the day before all of this happened. Well, the day before I got invited to the Tom Tom Festival with Ashley, I was praying to God. And I said, God, I was frustrated with God. Because for one, I'm putting all this money into this. And even Casey called me the other day and he was like, yo, like, he was like, you paying me to like record your videos and stuff, but like, you ain't really making no money. So I was like, Casey, that's not, like, you don't worry about that. He's so sweet. I was like, that's not your problem to worry about. But I'm talking to God about it. And I'm like, God, I'm doing all this. I'm not making no money. And then God didn't say nothing to me. And I'm like, God, see, this is why I don't be talking to you, because you be taking too long to answer me. Like, I get frustrated. And then 12 hours later, that happened. Ashley invited me to that festival, which catapulted all of this. And God told me right then and there, he said, first of all, you need to pray for patience and you need to pay for satisfaction. And also, I don't answer you right away because you don't tell me thank you right away. Period. Oh, yeah, God would come. Homeboy
came with a lightning bolt.
Yeah, he definitely did. But anyways, of course, this is This has been amazing. Thank you so much, Mike.
Thank you for
You
having
don't know
me.
how much it means for you to be here with me right now. I really appreciate that.
But thank you. Congratulations on all the success. You're doing it.
Thank you.
You are doing it.
Congrats
And
to
a
you
lot
too.
of times I see a lot of people doing their thing, but they're not doing it like you. And for you to pull up and pull that one off.
And I'll do it again.
Yes, you would.
I would. Yeah.
I'm taking notes.
Mike, I'm taking notes from you.
Well, I got some things.
All right, cool. Well, let's get ready to wrap this up because I know you got to go handle some business. Thank y'all so much for tuning in. Make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. Tell a friend and tell a friend. Peace, blessings, love, and good night. Do your fingers like
This is it?
Yeah, that's it.
Okay.
Make sure to show the big face, too.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. There you
All
go.
right, y'all. Appreciate
Take
y'all.
care.
Good night.